Alright guys, before I start this video, I have to say something really important. I need you guys to contact Katerina Barley ASAP because there is one final vote left in the EU Council, which I think is on 9th of April or somewhere near that date. I need you guys to contact her and ask her to please remove the copyright directive because she is going to be there during the final vote and we really need her to step in and stop this. So please contact Katerina Barley. Please contact her. Please call her. Please tweet her. Please email her. Please write to her. Please do whatever you can civilly and please ask her to just remove the copyright directive. Do not vote for it. Do not pass it because this is our final... I mean, it's passed anyway in Parliament. But this EU Council vote thing is literally the last stop before it's officially done. That's it. So please contact her ASAP.
Und seit gestern wissen wir auch, woran das liegen könnte, denn die FAZ hat einen Kuhhandel zwischen Deutschland und Frankreich aufgedeckt, wonach Deutschland anscheinend Uploadfilter akzeptiert im Tausch gegen Frankreichs Zustimmung zur Nord Stream Gaspipeline. Das Tragischste an diesem Vorgang ist...
Madam, I'm delighted you're all wide awake this morning, but please allow Madam Rader to continue speaking, and that's from both sides of the House. Madam Rader.
Verstanden. Ich möchte ganz klar klarstellen und wiederholen, was ich gesagt habe, und ich bitte nur meine Worte zu nehmen und nicht das, was Sie und andere Interessierte bewusst desinterpretieren und fehlinterpretieren. Ich habe gesagt, nun wird offensichtlich versucht, auch mit gekauften Demonstranten die Verabschiedung des Urheberrechts zu verhindern. Damit habe ich ausdrücklich nicht die tausenden jungen Menschen gemeint und die tausenden Menschen gemeint, die auf die Straße gehen, die vom Recht auf Demonstration Gebrauch machen. Ich werde ein überzeugter Demokrat bin.
Okay.
Aber wenn die Frankfurter Allgemeinen Zeitung in einem Artikel mit der
Even though I knew that this was going to happen because the amount of corruption and blackmail that was going on behind the scenes of this whole vote and directive, obviously I shouldn't even be surprised that, you know, it got voted for. But, you know, it's still disappointing to see that it actually did get voted on, and majority of MEPs did not give a damn about people's concerns and the fact that people did not want this law. People did not want this law for completely valid, justified reasons. Majority of MEPs ignored people's phone calls. Majority of MEPs ignored people's concerns. They ignored our emails and called our emails, what was it, spam, bots. They were by Google, we're all paid by Google or something. Google sent those emails. Apparently, if you had a Gmail account address in your emails, that means you're working for Google. I think one MEP said, or someone said that, which is ridiculous. Even when you were making phone calls to them, they already had, you know, their stance already in their head. And they weren't open to listening to, you know, the other side of the argument or taking into both accounts. Most of them went ahead and voted for this law whilst ignoring our emails, ignoring our phone calls, ignoring our letters, ignoring the physical protests on the 23rd of March 2019, and even before the 23rd of March there were protests going on as well. They ignored that and they decided to vote for this law. They ignored the fact that many websites on the 21st of March blacked out or showed a banner on their websites to show that they do not support Articles 13 and /or 11. They ignored the online protests. They ignored basically just general concern that people did not want this law. Most of the time, when people told them that we do not want this law, they did not give a damn, and majority voted for this. And what also pisses me off is that they ignored all this actual expertise, legal advice, like actual information and fact and arguments and debates from people who know about the internet. They ignored all that and they assumed that whatever's in the text, you know, saying that there's no filters, they were like, okay, they'll go with that, when they don't know how to technically carry out what it's saying in the text. They assume that, you know, everything in this text is how this law is going to be carried out without knowing the technical background or like realizing that in terms of the execution of this law, you are going to need filters, technology, etc., which can wrongfully take down content. Filters and technology do not understand fair use, etc. So to be honest, most of the content that maybe I watch, like gaming videos, or even the content I create, which is gaming videos, are under threat, because if a filter scans my video, they will tell that there is a game in this video, and they will block it. And they will block it because filters cannot tell the difference between fair use and actual copyright. Filters cannot humanly distinguish between people actually copywriting, like actual piracy, versus fair use and transformative content. That's why user-generated content is going to get hurt by this. Plus the other argument about saying how, you know, everything's going to be licensed. Not everything online can be licensed. Not everything online across, you know, every single website hosting user-generated content can be licensed. Because it's not just music and video, which I've been trying to constantly tell MEPs who are favoring this law, constantly trying to tell them that not everything can be licensed online. There are certain types of content that can't be licensed. There are certain types of content in which a filtering system for licensing, etc., has not been made for that type of content yet. So what are you going to do with that content that cannot be licensed? Plus that thing about blanket licenses being given out. Not all rights holders are obliged to give a license out. Not all collecting societies exist in every single area. And if a rights holder refuses to give out a blanket license, then all future content of that work has to be like completely removed from the website now and in the future. And the only way to do that is to bring in filters. And that means all our content, that means every single one of our works is going to go through a filter system. Because if a rights holder does not want their certain work to appear online, they will have to filter out content to make sure that work is not uploaded in the future by anyone else. So we're going to be filtered, and filters don't work. YouTube's own content ID system doesn't work, so why are they trying to apply this on like an EU basis for every single site that basically allows user-generated content? The most notable example fresh in my head right now is the fact that the Kenyan national anthem got basically claimed by someone called DeWolf Music. And literally every time you go on like YouTube's like Twitter, or you know, you look through the comments, you will see people complaining about the fact that their videos got falsely claimed or falsely copyrighted. It's a huge problem. Plus people who make their own original content, for example their own music and beats, they get falsely copyrighted by someone else, falsely claimed. So how the freak do you think filters, which are already causing so much mistakes, and there's literally so much abuse within the filter system, why do they think it's a good idea to spread this for literally every website existing in Europe? For literally every website existing in the EU? Literally, these arguments and evidence have been shown to MEPs, but again, they don't listen because they think that since it's not in the text, you know, it's not going to happen. But that in itself is dangerous, because if you just rely on making decisions based on what you see on a piece of paper and you don't go out and do your own research and see both sides, it's literally dangerous to have such people like that in charge and, you know, quote, representing us in Parliament. Article 11 has been already carried out in Germany and Spain. And look at that failed. The amount of news that people, you know, found online, that got literally wiped, that got reduced. So why do they think it's okay that if a law has literally failed in other countries, why are they spreading it to Europe? Are these people dumb? And it's basically completely reducing the amount of information that we can find and access online. And we have every right to receive, you know, like news and education about what the hell is going on. We have a right to access as many news sources as possible, and I fear that this law will completely cut that. Not to mention Article 12 completely undermines the idea that the author is the original owner of their work, and it gives much more money to publishers. There are so many flaws with this directive, but again, majority of MEPs didn't listen, because the first sentence they always said to me was, it's all about the creators. It's all about fair payment. So what you're saying, that basically the people who... But I basically take offense to that, because it sounds a bit It sounds very patronizing. It's basically assuming that we don't care about creators getting paid fairly or, everything. They're saying that we are assuming that. We basically care for creators to get paid fairly. I wouldn't want someone to not get paid or get recognized. But this law is a huge step backward. Not even just one step. Millionth, billionth step backward. It's not going to help anyone. It's not going to help creators or independent creators. It's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt users. It's going to hurt websites because the exceptions for, small websites not getting affected isn't solid enough. For example, if they hit 3 years of age, they are now liable for all content posted on their websites. How is a website's age meant to literally predict a website's security and, financial security, etc., in being able to deal with all this? Or pay an infinite amount of licenses for literally anything and everything that users upload online? Even Twitch has talked about geo-blocking the EU. Can you see how serious this law is for creators and audiences? That we are being restricted on what we can view and what we can create, and the fact that now that's not going to be available to us anymore. We can't create. There's going to be huge restrictions on what we can do online, and it goes against our online freedom. It goes against our freedom to create. It goes against our freedom to access information. It literally violates so many human rights, and I don't think they seem to understand that. So I'm just going to talk about just thoughts and feelings about, what this whole process has shown to me today and what it has shown to the public, ever since day one up to the final vote. The first thing I want to talk about is how they don't give a damn about our emotions and how we feel about things. And, basically us as a human being. Literally, people encourage us to be more involved in politics and, basically the decisions that will affect us all and, countries and everything. People encourage us to be more active in political affairs to help make the world a better place. But why is it that when people finally, millions of people, get politically active, get involved, and they try to reach out to their government officials and try to help influence a decision, that there is now this sudden suspiciousness and conspiracy, conspiracy theories and everything against us? Why is it that when people finally begin to speak out and they finally get involved in political decisions and affairs and laws that will literally affect everyone online, why is it that is now suddenly treated with suspicion? People start to make all these stupid stories and conspiracy theories about us, calling us bots, mobs. We're paid by Google, or we're manipulated by Google and YouTube. We don't know what we're doing. We're just blinded by what Google or YouTube has been telling us. It's just they constantly dished out all these, insults and everything. They are so biased towards us. It's just scary that when people finally speak out, they're met with that kind of response. And that should never be right. Literally millions of people spent time emailing MEPs. Millions of them did. You know what happened? They called every single one of those emails spam, bots, fake, sent in by Google. It's disturbing that when people finally want to speak out about something, but then all of a sudden it's suspicious or not legit. And I think that's what's basically made me lose there's not a lot of faith happening right now. I think the faith's gone. It's made me lose a lot of faith in this whole system, this whole political system, because at the end of the day, no one gives a damn about the people. No one gives a damn about the effect it would seriously crush everyone. No one gave a damn. They have literally shown that they do not care. Majority of MEPs who voted for this, literally lobbyists, etc., they do not care what the public want or how the public feel. They never cared. And now they've passed a law where millions are opposed to this. No one wants this. Apart from some greedy assholes, only they want this, but we never wanted this. And they ignore protests, they ignore everything. Because they think it's okay to decide what's best for us when they have no technical knowledge or anything on how dangerous this law is. That's why, guys, May elections, vote them out. If any of your MEPs voted for this law, make sure that they are out, because they do not deserve to be on a platform where they are supposedly meant to represent us. Some of those MEPs were very rude. I have had personal experiences of talking to MEPs. They were freaking rude. They did not care. First time I contacted someone, they treated me with suspicion and thought I was a bot. Plus some other MEPs, literally when someone tried to talk to them, they instantly asked them to reveal personal information, which I swear is a violation of privacy, etc., to confirm that they are not a bot. Because if anyone speaks out against Article 13, they are a bot, apparently. It's just strange because they either paint us as bots, as mobs, as evil people, or the opposite, we are manipulated or victims. But in a sense, we don't really know what we're talking about. We're just manipulated. That's it. Plus, another thing I do want to talk about, psychologically, I don't know, like literally when I first found out about this today, I'm not gonna lie, I did cry. Even though I should have known that this was gonna happen, I should have just, not have been surprised, but it just hurt that meant that I was gonna, like, not just me, but millions of us are gonna lose. Not to mention, I feel like this whole like, mistrust in politics and, the system, I think has damaged a lot of people. Like, people do not trust, these representatives, or the fact that these representatives literally ignored these fears and concerns and, like, genuine sadness and genuine pleas of Christ to tell them, not to vote for this. They vote for this. They completely just walk over. They completely just crush over them, and they don't even give a damn or listen to them. People feel ignored and betrayed, and that is not good for people's health, and that is not good for them psychologically. I think it's going to really twist how people feel about this whole law process and everything. Plus, not to mention, when people actually found out about Article 13, it was literally, like, it emotionally hurt and troubled them. It troubled me, literally for months, even though my mental health was already bad. But I think hearing about this law, it completely, like, I was so irritated and anxious. I was literally scared about and upset about the fact that these people weren't listening to what we were trying to say. And sometimes it felt emotionally tiring trying to reach out to MEPs, telling them, please do not do this. And even my emails or my letters just got ignored. No one bothered replying back. And the fact that people are not going to be able to do what they love doing anymore, I'm not going to be able to do, like, because, again, my content is games, and I don't own the games, so I just play them. But the fact that I won't be able to do that anymore, or share that, it's really, like, because it's really disappointing. And to be honest, I already feel lost, because even if I still continue to upload, which I will, but it's like, in 1 or 2 years' time, you can't do it anymore, because everything's going to be restricted and censored and filtered and blocked. It's not really optimistic for not just me, but, like, millions of other people. People who do things like, for example, fan arts, fan fictions, gaming videos, any type of content, really. Actually, every single content is at risk of being filtered anyway. It's going to be blocked, and people, even sites like Twitch have even talked about geo-blocking the EU, so who's not to say that other websites will follow that? People won't be able to do what they love anymore, and sometimes it's like the only thing that keeps them sane and, I don't know, just a little bit happy. Even though there's, like, probably things going on in their life, doing this is, like, I guess, like a release. And they feel like, like there's something there to keep them going. And sometimes it's a lot of these things people do is like a coping technique. Plus, not only creators, users, they watch content that literally just gives them life and makes them feel a bit more hopeful, makes them feel makes them feel calmer or happier or relaxed more, or just a little bit more at ease. Like sometimes when I've been stressed, seeing certain content, it kind of gives me just a little bit more life, or whatever you want to call it, however you perceive it to you. It helps you in some way. It can be a coping technique, it can be a pastime, it can be, it can be their life, it can be whatever makes them happy. The fact that this law has snatched that away, it feels violating that there's literally not a lot left now. And I'm honestly scared about how this could affect a lot of people. People have already talked about, like things like they can't cope if it passes and everything. They couldn't cope not doing what they love doing. And the fact that this law has actually happened, I don't know how people can, remain, quote, optimistic, or remain, content or happy, or whatever you want to call that. I don't know how people can cope now that the fact that the internet is being taken away from them. Plus, they are being taught that users' concerns and users' freedom is not important to the government, etc. More cash to those big companies is more important than us. That's how I just see everything right now. So yeah, lost faith in the system. People not going to know what to do with their lives. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, to be honest. Plus, another thing that kind of pisses me off, because I think I'm going to mention it anyway, is the fact that there were like UK YouTubers who knew that this law was happening. And I know this comment's going to come across as shady, or whatever you want to call it. But to be honest, I am really pissed because some of these a lot of these UK YouTubers, only like 0.05% actually spoke about it. And to those people who did speak about it, who did, constantly talk about it, I really appreciate those kind of people, those kind of creators, because sometimes in life you have to speak up about things, especially if it affects everyone. You can't be silent about it. But some of these UK YouTubers, a lot of them hardly spoke up about this in videos, etc. They hardly spoke up. And now that this law, I would constantly try to contact them and ask them to make some kind of video on it, to reach more audiences, to make people contact the MEPs more, to join in the protests, or just something that, like, even the littlest, shortest video or anything, just to let people know about, what the hell is going on. And I'm not sure if they did see, my tags, etc. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But it's just, they often see other people's tags, so I don't know. But it just disappoints me that, European YouTubers are speaking more about this, but the UK YouTubers, there was hardly anything. They weren't talking about it as much. Only a very tiny majority were. And now that this law has passed, only now some YouTubers have decided that they might make a video on it, etc. Which I'm glad that they are now making a video on it, but I just wish that they spoke up about this way earlier, before this parliament vote. I wish they spoke up about it more. I wish they were trying. I appreciate that they have been doing it now, but it's just, it's like they knew about this law months ago and it actually passed. I think some of them were thinking that it wouldn't pass, but with all this blackmail and corruption going on behind the scenes, it wasn't gonna pass anyway. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about UK creators, or like most of them anyway, who didn't really speak up about it. But it's just funny that when it actually passes, then people just start. But in the positives of this whole stupid, idiotic situation, stupid terror, like literally bull situation, more people have become aware now. And the fact that more YouTubers are now going to talk about it in their videos now, at least, maybe it gives just a little bit more like fight to this. So that's the only thing I can think of that's positive right now. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty dark. So, but yeah, it is kind of hurtful that creators don't, like, sometimes creators really don't speak out because they're afraid to be too political or etc. But, you know, like, people use that word, too political, but I feel like if something wrong is happening to a lot of people, you have to speak up sometimes. You have to speak up. Otherwise, things like this happen. The law did get passed. So yeah, I'm pissed. Another thing that just concerns me though of this whole thing, again, is the blackmail, the treachery, the corruption that's been happening ever since day one about this whole law. Lobbyists have been wanting this law so bad that they've been doing all the stupid tactics, telling MEPs that all their emails were bots, telling people that most of the people that signed the petition were all American, even though everyone in this world is going to get affected by it. So I don't see any problem with other countries speaking up because they know that this law is complete bull. It's basically, the way I see it, is all countries stepping up together to stop this evil that's about to happen. Or actually, yeah, it's gonna happen anyway because the law passed. Apparently, MEPs have been blackmailed by news publishers saying that if you don't vote for this copyright directive, if you vote against Article 13, etc., Article 11, we will not cover you in the elections. We will give you poor press coverage when it comes to the elections, etc. They were blackmailing them and abusing their position. Not to mention the fact that the day before today's vote, we found out that apparently there was this deal that if MEPs voted for the copyright directive, they would get this gas pipeline deal. They basically voted for a directive in exchange for another deal, and that is dodgy as F. MEPs have to vote for a copyright directive in exchange for a deal on gas pipelines. There was a deal on that to get people to vote for the copyright directive. People were not voting for the right reasons. Not to mention, when people asked MEPs what is an algorithm, some of them didn't even know what it was. Why are people like that being allowed to vote on serious issues like the internet that will literally hurt the internet ecosystem when they have no clue about it? And they blatantly ignore expertise from people who are well educated on the internet. Even the founder of the internet himself, he is against Article 13 and Article 11. He's against it. So why are these MEPs voting for it? It's just sad though that this is our system. This is our system and we have been ignored, we've been betrayed. Some MEPs didn't know what they were voting for. Some of them refused to listen to, you know, the other side of the debate. People ignored protests and genuine concerns, and they constantly insulted us instead of listening to the other side of the whole argument. Not to mention, guys, on the day of the vote, they had literally in the reception, I saw something where like they had t-shirts just put there saying yes to copyright that were cough cough apparently on quote apparently on display. But the fact that they had these yes to copyright t-shirts already there in the freaking like reception where the vote was happening, these people, like, this, it's like they knew in their head that this law was going to happen. They were ready to say yes to this law. It feels so insulting that they literally had t-shirts ready there. Not to mention, guys, apparently 2 MEPs misclicked, misvoted on basically, you know, like basically amending Article 13, Article 11. Apparently there was this confusion where they thought that, you know, they were amending the article, but apparently they voted the opposite of it. So I don't know, this whole thing is a freaking mess. Everything in this law was a mess. And now we have to deal with the consequences because some twats didn't understand the internet. So yeah, in terms of the future of this channel, even though this channel is crap anyway, but to the other channels that you know are good, are amazing, and they're in the EU, I'm honestly frightened for them. I'm frightened for other creators who have to deal with this now and the fact that they can't do what they love anymore. Not just like YouTubers, but any kind of creator. This law, this law hurts us. The only thing now is just the final EU Council vote. Even when Julia Reader, you know, she is the defender of the internet. She is a huge defender of the internet. She's a freaking queen. When she was making her speech back in the parliament today, people were freaking bullying her, interrupting her, shouting at her. What Why are those MEPs allowed? Why are they allowed to be seated in that position and act like such a bully? Act like such a douche? Why are they allowed to make these kind of laws when they don't even listen to the other side of the perspective? They are not open to the fact that this law is going to ruin the internet. They are closed-minded assholes. Vote them out. In the elections, vote them out. Right now, we have one more EU Council vote happening, I think, on the 9th of April. I think, somewhere early April. Once it's formally been approved there, even though if Katerina Barley, you know, basically decides to basically remove the directive, vote against it, etc., that would be helpful. But again, I don't know what the hell is going to happen because I feel like it's going to get passed anyway. But yeah, guys, right now we just got to fight because they've shown that they do not give a damn about what the whole public have been saying since day one. They still continue to push this law on us, and now it's actual law. Do you want those people to get away with that? Do you want a bunch of majority of idiots who basically decided this future for us? We keep fighting no matter what. Plus, people have been saying, oh, if we leave Brexit, then that means we won't have to deal with this, blah, blah, blah. Well, I say no to that because one, Brexit itself is a bad idea. Plus, not to mention, what makes you think that the UK is going to be safe from this law? Jeremy Corbyn wanted to nationalise the internet. Majority of Labour and Conservative voted for this law. What makes you think the UK is going to be safe if you just leave? Plus, why is it right that people decide to take a quick, easy exit out of this situation, but other countries are going to have to suffer this law? Why is it right that anyone in the world has to suffer this law in the first place? We have to help each other out. We have to help each other out and stick up for each other because no one should be going through this law. Even if you are from that country or not. Help other humans because no one should be going through this trash. But yeah, guys, I'm going to end the video because I've been talking for way too long. This is way longer than I was hoping it would be, but to be honest, I don't care. I'm just going to say what I want because this law is passed anyway. So there are a lot of people I want to thank for literally all their efforts because no matter, you know, what kind of trash behavior was going on, these people defended our internet until, you know, the last breath. They were defending the internet. There's so many people I want to thank. Obviously, I might forget names because I have a really bad memory, but these people are basically only just some of the people who have helped defend our internet and have been fighting with us for such a long time. They are the people that we want in Parliament, who actually listen to us and care for us and care for online freedom. We want those people representing us. Julia Reader has been fighting for our internet freedom ever since. She is a queen, I will say it again. She is a fighter. She has been fighting this law ever since. And I'm so happy that we have had her on our side. And she's literally been tolerating a lot of bull, but to be honest, she has handled it so well. So I just want to say massive thank you to her for just being so helpful and so supportive and so passionate about, you know, what she does. She is a huge inspiration. I also want to thank Michael Bonney, Dan Dalton, Yanatum, Timo, I think. I'm sorry if I say the name wrong, but Timo, David Kays, Glyn Moody. Literally, there's so many people that I'm probably forgetting right now. Literally, I have such a bad memory, but those are literally just some of the people who have been huge defenders of the internet. There are so many more. Just go on Twitter, go on any social media, go on any thing. You will find out all the names of many others who've been helping the internet. Not to mention all the people that I've basically met or interacted with on Twitter. Literally, they have been fighting this and been so passionate, getting into debates, providing arguments, spreading the word. There's so many people on Twitter. People just like me and you have been fighting this. Everyone who played a part in trying to fight this law, whether it was a big part, small part, whatever part it was, everything counted. And to all those people who were fighting this law in whatever way they could, those people are the kind of people that we need in our life. Those people kept fighting, and I think that's something to be really proud of.
There's proposal which is to vote on the amendments before the actual agreement.
È chiaro per cosa stiamo votando?
I hope it's clear What are we voting on? There seemed to be some confusion in the groups as to what we're voting on. Have you all voted? Thank you. The vote is now closed. This proposal has been
rejected.